taxable. I'm talking about liquid. Rich enough to have your own jet. Rich enough not to waste time. Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated. They're analysts. They don't know preferred stock from livestock, all right? The new law of evolution in corporate America seems to be survival of the unfittest.
Good evening, traders, and welcome to Stock Traders Talk Radio here on a beautiful Tuesday night, February the 7th, 2012. I am your host, STT. Joining me on tonight's program, I have Stock Sumo.
Hey, good evening, STT.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Another great day.
It's good to hear. Also, joining us on the program tonight, we have Sifakia.
Aloha, STT, and the rest of the gang.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Yep. Thanks for having me here. Can't wait to hear this interview.
Good to have you back on the radio with us. Also joining us on the program tonight is Haas.
What's going on tonight, guys?
What you doing over there, Haas?
And ladies. I have to say ladies now, too, because we have more than one on tonight.
That's right. That is 100% correct. Also joining us on the program tonight is Hans.
Hey, Mike. I'm doing the ant shuffle, buddy.
There you go. That's always good to hear. All right. Also on the program with us tonight is QT Cal.
Hey, Mike. Hi, STT listeners.
Welcome to the show, QT.
Thank you for having me.
I know. Throws me off. She comes on, it throws off the whole show. I gotta get used to that. Only day 2 with QT Cal.
And it's only going to get better.
That's right. 100% better already. I can't wait for the first fight between Cop and QT. Still looking forward to that. Last but not least on our show tonight is Cop.
What's going on, everybody? How are you?
Fantastic. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, man, another great day. Loving it. Loving it.
Loving it. You got to love it. Let's take a look at last night's show real quick. Last night, we did a stock spotlight on ticker symbol ANTS. A-N-T-S. We did about 45 minutes of the stock spotlight just on this one stock. At the end of the stock spotlight, we sit here and say, is it a buy, is it a sell, or is it a hold? Well, 4 of us said buy, and 2 of us said sell. Yesterday, ANTS closed at 0.007. Today, closing at 0.0115. So I would say the people that said buy were 1,000% correct. Congratulations to those that said buy.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cop basically called a 011 top, and it went to 012 and kind of closed around that 011 area. So right on the money.
No. That's horrible. Got to nail it for us. you got to nail it for us. I want to know exactly when. Okay, now, as most people know that are tuning in to the show tonight, we have an exclusive CEO interview lined up for you. Also, don't forget, Thursday night's show, we have yet another exclusive CEO interview, and Sunday night. Stop by our board at Stock Traders Talk Radio on Investors Hub to see what's coming on every night at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our show, of course, airs at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, I know everybody did not come in to listen to me talk all night. So, without further ado, doing tonight's interview is Mr. Kopp. Mr. Kopp, take it away, sir.
Thanks, Mike. We're here with Miss Roxana Weber, the CEO of MPIX Corp., stock ticker MPIX. And also joining us is Mr. John Benson, co-chairman of Churchill Lloyd. Welcome to the show, Ms. Weber and Mr. Benson.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Welcome
Doing
to
great.
everybody at STT tonight.
Yeah, good evening, Chris. It's John Benson. How are you?
Thanks for joining us. This is one of those tougher interviews, so let me give you a disclaimer out there for the audience. I own EMXC, I own MPIX, and I have for a very, very long time. I've actually fought not doing this interview for a long time because, you know, Rox, I'm just going to say it. I am a disgruntled shareholder, okay?
Okay, Chris,
so,
yes.
And I just want to level with you from the get-go, so some of these questions might be a little pointed and all that. Hopefully I don't offend you. But let's kind of go right into the background of what MPIX is.
Okay. MPIX is a public company that we acquired last year by backing in our media private company approximately last year, I guess about the end of June. And Emax Media is a multimedia company that holds music, mass recording rights, and other entertainment, video, and software games.
Now, that Emax Media piece used to be actually in EMXC, correct?
Actually, it was never in EMXC. EMXC held a interest in the company. It kind of incubated it up through the years. It was always a private consortium of companies.
Understand. Now, my first I guess, awareness of MPIX was when the music and all of that actually got rolled into MPIX and those type of things, and there was a June 15th, I believe, dividend for EMXC shareholders.
That's
what
correct.
is the status of that?
The dividends of that company and for the EMXC shareholders had been delayed because we had a issue with our predecessor transfer agent, which got resolved about 2 weeks ago. That caused a delay because without the records of the shareholder base of EMXC, we could not facilitate the dividends in MPIX because we needed those shareholder record counts as of that date of June 15th. So about 2 weeks ago, all the final electronic records was gotten into the system, uploaded at Standard Registrar, so that now we can issue all transfers going forward. That was a requirement for us to complete the dividends for the MPIX shareholders for those dividends. And secondarily, and probably the most important, is that those shares are being registered correctly with the SEC because it's a requirement. So right now we are working to finish our S-1 filing because in the S-1 filing it's a full reporting statement for our companies. MPIX's S-1 filing is registering all those securities correctly, which is a requirement by the SEC.
Okay. One thing about your shareholders, and I probably shouldn't have started the interview off like this, but let me,
okay.
I'll just level with you. You're sure. Probably, one of the nicest ladies I've ever met in my life. You're always cordial, and will go to the 1,000th mile for everybody. Very nice and all of that. However, in a lot of the things that actually happen on the companies, the follow through is absolutely terrible. And I'm speaking from a shareholder, and I'm sure most of the shareholders are out there. And here's where the problem comes in. Excuse me, is because all of us believe in you so much, right? We tell our friends, we tell our parents, we tell our neighbor, we tell the 7-Eleven clerk how awesome this company is. So everybody I know is actually involved in this stock, and I'm sure everybody that that's out there knows the same thing. So when you sit there and you talk about the dividend piece, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, what day am I getting my dividend?
Well, let me go back a little bit of history, which is important. Last August, all the dividends for the EMXC shareholders in Emax worldwide, they were printed, they were compiled for mailing. It wasn't but a 2-week period after that the SEC came in and filed a lawsuit against our transfer agent at that time. From that date until 2 weeks ago, all those securities of those stock certificates and envelopes and postage that was paid for all those mailings have been sitting in transit, literally. Currently, all those documents and certificates and all the mailing pieces are now sitting at Standard Registrar. So one of the things that we are having to do now is when our transfer agent then not only delayed all that process, they also delayed all of the communication with FINRA that was required for us to facilitate two things. To facilitate to that office the confirmation that the dividends are going out and for the name change for EMAX Worldwide. We did everything in our office to facilitate that activity, which is a 90-day period they have to handle all those corporate action files that we send as a company. We did that 3 times over the course of 18 months without that office complying with which was mandated upon them, which is another document that transfer agent has to submit. So I know it's been a lot of time delays. However, this has been a real problem that we've had to resolve, and the way we've resolved it is finding a transfer agent that's now been engaged as of last October that really does the job. So those delays,
right.
As much as I like to say, we had 100% responsibility for it, we did not. We did everything that we were required to do, and we are starting over again in communication with FINRA. So we have a 90-day window that we started with FINRA that they have to facilitate every event and action with us again. And that process started 2 weeks ago. Just as the DTC put a chill on our QSUP when the transfer agent went away. Now, our transfer agent has notified them that they are the new TA, and they have notified them of our events going forward. One of the things that FINRA will complete with us is they will acknowledge the name change. The name change has a different QSUP number attached to it. So all of those activities now that we are handling with FINRA, with our transfer agent, with our securities counsel, will now remedy all of that and also allow us to complete issuing the dividends out that is done in tandem with those agencies.
Understand that completely. What about the buyback piece? Let's talk about that.
Well, the buyback has started internally here. One of the things I also announced last year, and we did this effectively July 4th, all the founders' positions in this company was exchanged for preferred stock, which took over 1 billion shares out of the common market position. In addition to the buyback, we started buying back on a nominal basis. We will continue to increase that buyback, though, because with what's going on with the two companies now, it is our intention here as a company to buy back as much stock. If we could buy back the company private, we would, because we know what is happening with all the operations of the company and what the revenues will be, meaning to both of our companies, both to the MPIX shareholders and for the EMXC shareholders this year.
The hardest part about it is the stocks have actually, right now we're sitting at 9, and on the one it went up to 24 at one time.
Right.
As long shareholders, we go out there, we battle for the company, we defend the company, we do all kinds of stuff, and
right.
And probably 99% of us rode up to 24 and rode it all the way back down. So as from a trading perspective, and that's what this show's about, being a trader and executing something and then, trying to invest and make money,
right.
Clearly we all hosed it all up because, we believed in something that was going to happen and kept getting delayed, one thing after the other, where, and frankly, all we needed was one or two things for your company to follow through on. I mean, it's really what we need.
Chris,
it's just
there's no doubt to that. There's no doubt to that. And I never expected to have the hand dealt to this company as we did last fall. Whether it been our transfer agent getting sued and locked up our files almost for a 4-month period. I never expected to be dealt a hand with an institution that came to us and signed loan agreements with our company for us to have to cancel those agreements because they were non-performing contracts and to reevaluate, we as directors and officers, how to properly go forward with our companies and now to use our own resources and own assets for much larger and better and stabilized credit facilities to facilitate everything that we announced last year we're going to do. So,
all right, then let's move on to the funding piece then.
Okay.
Okay, we had the press releases about the funding. right? So everyone, that was the next thing regarding, the buyback, the dividends, where, we're kind of like hanging on the edge, and then the funding piece happened, or it was supposed to happen. What happened there?
Well, around the holiday, as we kept getting delays granted to us and stated to us by Interglobal's principals, both to ourselves as the directors and officers, the principals of the other companies, and to our securities counsel, nothing seemed right to us. So over the holidays, as we started looking behind the scenes of the documents that was given to us and to our counsels, we realized that these bank instruments and these bank guarantees were not accurate. They were not usable. They were not as they were granted to us. And we knew that we were dealing with some individuals that truly was not savory individuals. We had no choice but to cancel those relationships for two reasons. One, they were never going to close. Two, we had to stop the bleeding of the misinformation to our shareholders. And three, the loan agreements tied to those guarantees were very over-encumbering to our assets. There's no way that we wanted any of our companies to be any further at risk, which those loan commitments were certainly doing. They were encumbering all of our assets. So we unilaterally canceled all relationships, all commitments with other companies that the same financing was tied to, and looked at taking a fresh start and get back to our real business, our core business, which is utilizing our own assets and our own resources for new credit line facilities. There's no way we needed $500 million to fund our operations. It was never necessary, never needed. And that was a really big red flag for us. Those fundings were brought to us by Interglobal, and what we were realizing at the end of last year is that those fundings were going to be mishandled and mismanaged by those principals. They no way were planned to come into our companies, but yet our assets and our stocks and our resources were securing those loans. So that was a real major reason for us to close out those contracts immediately, which we did, and also by counsel's prompting, securities counsel.
Okay, did you have a plan B to this?
Oh, we've always had a plan B. Plan B and plan C. The assets of our companies, they're very substantial and more than sufficient to what we ever need in our credit facilities. It was always our intent to use our own assets to be secured against, and not large lines of credit. Our companies really don't like debt. Equity placements, it's always been our interest to do either convertible debt that be exchanged into equity in a short period of time, or a small amount of debt that's required to roll up our companies. And that's exactly what we're doing at this time, collectively, with ourselves and with the Churchill Lloyd principles, with what we put together now, between MPIX and Churchill Lloyd with the Platinum Access Society group of companies.
Now we have Mr. John Benson from Churchill Lloyd. Mr. Benson, are you still there?
Yes, I am, Chris. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm sure you're listening to a lot of a little bit of history here, and I know it's really it's really important for a lot of the shareholders that exist out there are in both companies, and the history of the way you run one company is the history of the way you run another one, and those type of things. And nobody works harder than rocks. I think we all know that. And the obstacles are put in front of you and those type of things. And quite frankly, I want to know what you're doing with MPIX. That's really what I want to know.
It's one of the first questions that we get asked when we actually discuss our relationship. And I think before I get into our company, I just want to say one thing, that we're fully aware of some of the obstacles that Roxanne has faced in the last number of months. It's clearly we wouldn't be involved with her if we didn't feel that her company and its future and what she can bring to the table wasn't suited to what we want to do and to be part of what we believe is going to be an extremely successful company down the road. And I also believe that Roxana, in having an opportunity to understand the resources that our group brings to the table and being so cooperative and working with us to accept those resources and to work on the plan that we designed, as she calls it, Plan B. It's a shame it wasn't Plan A, but never mind, it's Plan B. And I think where we're going with these companies and where we're heading, I believe that our faith in Roxana will be filled, and I believe that MPIX will carry the day at the end, because that's why we're in this arrangement with her. But just to give you a little bit of a background on our organisation, Churchill Lloyd is 100% owned subsidiary of Global Benefits Group. Now, Global Benefits Group is one of the world's largest independent health insurance providers. We're in 26 countries around the world. Our headquarters are in Dallas, Texas. We provide one of the finest health insurance products on the market. We've argued for a long time that maybe if the government had taken notice of us, where we have a product that's available for people that require no previous illnesses, etc., that are taken into account. This is a product available to all Americans. It's part of one of the largest. We're part of one of the largest TPA networks, which processes over $4 billion a year in premiums. This is a very, very powerful international group, and there are other divisions of Global Benefits which stretch into other areas of corporate, which Churchill Lloyd was established initially as a commodities operating arm in a whole range of different commodities, oil, sugar, precious metals, gold, etc. And what basically happened is that we know Roxana well. We carried out a number of discussions with her towards the latter part of last year, and we decided that there was an opportunity because of certain products or companies that we would introduce under a joint venture arrangement that could easily work in a very, very simple synergy way with her organization, her media company, especially, which we thought was an excellent structure, and certainly we felt was of great value to us as a joint venture partner. So we felt we had the ability to plug into our resources, our network that we'd already established, the corporation as far as she operated it, and we formed a joint venture company called Platinum Access Society, which was our initial investment company, and we formed that into a JV with MPIX, and Churchill Lloyd and MPIX formed a 50-50 joint venture agreement, and started to introduce our businesses alongside her media company under that Platinum Access banner. So that was our initial operation.
Understand. I would assume that if we've heard about the quiet periods for a while, I would assume that during these negotiations, is that part of this whole, to be able to get to this point? Is this one of the reasons why everything was so quiet?
The quiet period was that, John, you know that we spent over a month preparing all the joint ventures and all the stock transfer agreements and all the corporate documents relevant to facilitate this JV, working with counsel. So, yes, we were quiet almost throughout all of January, facilitating all those documents with our counsel's oversight, theirs and ours.
Well, the other reason we asked her to be quiet was because we didn't want to have a situation where we made announcements and then it was a number of months, etc., before things would take off, and we wanted to make sure that when we were ready to come out and we made the announcements, it wasn't going to be something that you can expect. It's not a startup. It's not something that people were waiting to hear how successful it's going to be. It was ready to go vertical immediately, and that's exactly what we can talk about in a few minutes. We can tell you a little bit about the companies that are involved in this joint venture. I think some of the most exciting areas that are probably out there, but we were very careful this time, knowing what the historical problems are, that we didn't make any announcements whatsoever until we were ready to make sure that everything we said was going to be enacted upon straight away. Okay? Right. Very, very important. So,
let's go right. Let's kind of go right into that, because maybe I'm slightly confused about what MPIX actually is. Can you describe that to me?
Well, first of all, MPIX is still the public consortium holding company. MPIX however, owns 50% of Platinum Access Society, which is this investment business development consortium that we have put operating companies and resources in together collectively, both from Churchill Lloyd's interest and from the Emacs media companies. So, John, maybe you can share with now some of the activities that we've put over in there now and the operating resources and companies that makes up Platinum Access.
What I'll do, Chris, is I'll start with the smallest will build up to the biggest. But let's just discuss what the three companies are that we brought into the mix here for the joint venture. Global iPrint, which is one of the corporations that we introduced, is one of the leading printing companies in the world. We have the most advanced printing equipment available through the Heidelberg companies, and it was basically set up initially by us because under our umbrella of all our insurance business, you can just imagine what we create printing-wise around the world. I mean, it's an enormous. So we're our own economy, if you like, within our own company. And so we decided that we would form a company which would be our printing company, and of course we would start off by being its first customer. And we created what basically is a state-of-the-art printing operation, and it can produce, and if you go on our website on Platinum Access or on globaliprint.com, you can read all about it, but it's going to be able to produce state-of-the-art printing. We have a number of sponsorships which we're heavily involved in. We're one of the leading Indy car sponsors. We have relationships with IndyCar. We have relationships with NASCAR, with the National Hot Rod Association. These are some of the companies that we support. We've just completed a contract with the National Hot Rod Association that's worth many, many millions of dollars to us over a 12-month period. So this was a great company to bring under the umbrella, plus that Roxana, through her organization, had a lot of other clients like we have through our association that can bring customers into the iPrint umbrella. Right. So that was one of our. We're very excited about that particular company, and it's going to be a large income provider for Platinum in turn for MPIX. So that was the first of our companies. The one that we're probably the most proud about right now in terms of our global group is Global MD Now. The best way to explain Global MD Now is that it's a multi. It provides on the spot medical access to major network of doctors, which are nurses and what have you, where people can through the internet, video, telecommunication, access our network of doctors, which will eventually be around the world, and they can reach us and get that information right on their anytime. If they have an illness, if they have a need for any type of not critical care, but where if you're traveling and you're out of state, you need to contact a doctor. You'll be able to contact one of ours. If you've got a problem, we can help you with prescriptions. We can direct you to medical centers. We have a network of nurses and doctors on standby 24/7. We have all our own call centers, our own, obviously, servers and backup servers, all the things that go with the service of the product. But what's most exciting about that is that it's really utilizing all of our existing facilities. I mentioned we have a large PPO network with over 500,000 doctors in the United States alone. And we're already operating in 30 languages on this product. It's completely finished. It's going vertical right now. It's going to be creating income immediately through Platinum, which, as I said, owns 50% of that company, and it's a monthly revenue stream that's based around roughly a $19.95 cost per family per month to access this 24/7 facility, and it has a copay of around $35, which comes into the mix too. So it's a huge revenue maker, and it's very, very simple for us to expand that into millions of lives. I mean, we'll be in China, will be throughout Asian countries. Right now we're doing transactions in Africa with major unions in South Africa. We have countries around the world that will be launching the product in. So Global MD now, we feel, was the great fit that fitted with the media, because all the inner resources that we use to handle our internet connections and our online stuff, the facilities that we provide, are also available internally to launch the media side of what Roxana's bringing to the table with her products. So that was a great
Mr. Benson,
fit.
Are you saying that you're already launching some of these in other countries?
Oh, absolutely. Well, no, right now, Global MD now has been launched in the United States immediately. That's our first launch. Within a matter of weeks, we'll be launching in a number of other countries around the world. One of the good things you'll be able to do, by the way, which I'm hoping your shareholders take advantage of, is they'll be able to go onto our websites and they'll literally be able to see the counter, so to speak, of the members being signed. And it'll keep a running tally. You'll see that all the time. As we put new members on and new people sign up, those numbers will be there. They'll be able to follow the growth of the company. The international arena is what we're launching in the next few weeks. We've already done, the whole product's already been translated into 30 different languages, I said, so it's ready to go. It's very important to understand with this stuff. This is not we're not in there seeking, a startup that's looking for all these monies to raise, is promising something down the road. We have already spent millions of dollars developing this over the last 2 years. We've used enormous resources that we have available within our group to develop these companies. And the purpose of doing this joint venture with MPIX was so we can benefit. Obviously, we have a stock interest in MPIX to do this. But we can see MPIX grow as a company, its share value grow, which have a direct effect on us anyway, and also participate in things that MPIX has. It's got some great products that it's developing. It's already has similar products that we're looking at, so it's a great fit for us.
John, if I could add something here. When I had stated earlier, Chris, that we are leveraging each other's resources and assets, one of those assets that we're referring to is their infrastructure of network, because for us to launch our mobile network, the way we are planning to launch it is millions of dollars in infrastructure that they've already vested. So when you've got a consumer reach that Global MD now does and the Global Corporate Alliance Group has, we have thousands of songs, thousands of ringtones, for example, that we can throw into that network mix and reach those consumers by us both cross-marketing to our customer bases. You've got healthcare consumers and you've got the music consumers. Those two leveraged networks in itself and running through their infrastructure saves our companies collectively millions of dollars and a tremendous amount of time getting to market. So sometimes the assets and resources isn't always capital. It's resources that's already been expended, a lot of capital, to be at the level that we're at. So that's the piece when I say we're going vertical. The synergistic integration of our assets with their network and vice versa, that really is what was the attraction to this marriage between our companies, first and foremost. And the thing I want to say is this. The thing that Platinum Access Society has developed is royalty-based income. Whether it is healthcare products, which is today, affordable healthcare products is in demand more than any time in our lifetime globally. But everything we're selling has residual royalty-based income. What that means for all of us as shareholders is consistent monthly income. Then you have it inside of a public company. And then the public factors and the share per price takes effect. We all win. So those are some of the assets and resources I was mentioning earlier.
I understand. Mr. Benson, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly right, actually, what Roxana just said. It's one of the most attractive things we had to forming our relationship and partnership with her. But going back to, I'll finish off on the Global Corporate Alliance. The Global Corporate Alliance, Global Benefits Corporation. Global Benefits Corporation is the international engine room, if you like, for the entire group. It manages, I told you, healthcare, products. It runs the Global MD Now operation. It has a number of other companies under its belt. It's in green technologies. We have our own, we're just about to launch our own cable network station. So basically, it's a conglomerate of businesses which operate on an international basis. It's the best way I can describe it. So there are other opportunities that we seek down the road where we can work together through Platinum Access with MindPIX, and that's how we see it. As MindPIX grows, those opportunities will grow at the same time. The third leg of the stool, if you like, is a company which is called GMD Resources. What I'm going to do on that is just mention briefly that this is a corporation that owns and operates leases through Central Texas in oil. The fields that we operate under are superb. One of the best kept secrets around. You'll be reading very, very shortly when we launch the information publicly through the MindPIX press release and on our own website, the details of that. We're currently completing our test drilling programs, but we have access to hundreds of millions of barrels of oil. We have already put in place with the corporation Dobry Oil and Gas, who have tremendous experience in history in establishing unique drilling methods and fields to develop these resources, of a contract. And we see the oil side as being one of the largest assets in terms of value when you add your reserves into it. When you look at the bankable reserves that we're going to prove up, you'll see that is going to be one of the largest assets that will support the balance sheet of Platinum. In turn, of course, will have a direct effect on the balance sheet of MindPIX, not just from the revenues that are derived, but from the asset reserves that are in the ground. So if you bring the mix, if you like, of oil, incredibly important currently in the world right now, as you know what's happening worldwide, the resources that are there. You bring in the medical field through the Global MD Now, the other company like iPrint, which I said is a major printing company, and then you bring in the introduction of the media business that Roxanne has added. Platinum Access is going to become, society is going to become a major, major international investment company. So I'm sure you can understand why, if you marry the two joint ventures together between Churchill Lloyd and MindPIX, you can see the real effect that this is going to have back on obviously MindPIX's balance sheet, but also on the price of the value of their stock. So that's predominantly why we're in there.
Chris, something else I want to
go ahead.
Sorry. Something else I want to share, if I could, Chris. As you can see from this dialogue this evening, that the amount of business and contracting between all these enterprises that had to take place over this past 30 days kept us pretty busy, all of our offices and all of our legal teams. But also, as a board directors of MindPIX, and I'm going to speak this tonight as the CEO of MindPIX, our board of directors made a unilateral decision this past month that we know that we own 50% of Platinum Access Society, but we've agreed as a board to set aside 7% of that interest to the EMAX Worldwide shareholders that will sit in reserve in its books, because we foresee the amount of revenues that Platinum and all their operating divisions and corporations will be throwing off to the MindPIX companies and to the shareholders. So you will see those details in our upcoming financial statements, both in EMXC and in the MindPIX statements that we're preparing right now for the SEC.
In your interview last year, the mini Berkshire Hathaway statement, right, and the conglomerates and all that. I mean, did you actually just pull this off?
I think we have. Steady and steadfastness is what we strive to do here, and we're fortunate that we've met John Benson and his partners, Doug McDonald and Gary Dahlberg. So we all have the same desires, and that is to make some incredible positive events to happen through our companies and for our shareholders. And again, this is why we've been so quiet. We know what we have here. We know what every piece of resource is worth to our respective companies and to a consolidated company. We lucked out because, Churchill Lloyd, with their position of platinum, they were going in the same direction as us. So over the holidays, it was a pretty easy thing for all of us, Mr. Benson and Mr. McDonald, to kind of, just roll up our sleeves and say, let's make a really good thing out of all of this. So, yeah, we're really blessed here.
Mr. Benson, I'm trying to get my hands wrapped around this 100 million barrels of oil and those. I mean, how much money are we talking here?
A lot more than that. Well, look, let's just deal with what the reserves are. We have 14 separate structured leases within our network, covering many thousands of acres of land. We have already conducted a number of geological tests. We've had our geologists come to us and already tell us that in one of our upper fields alone, we're holding over what could be as high as over 500 million barrels. On the lower fields, it could even be greater than that. Now, you're talking about oil running at $100 a barrel, so you don't need to be a rocket scientist to work that out. You can get some idea of the sort of value we're talking about. What's important to understand, Chris, is that you don't have to pump oil out of the ground to make it valuable. The fact that it's in the ground makes it valuable. You have to prove it up. And we have been able to do that, and our current testing programs will give us an absolute proof on that. And we're not talking about a long-term arrangement here. We're talking over the next few weeks. These reserves will be valued up and they'll be announced. So once that happens, it's going to have a significant effect because of the ownership of GMD under Platinum. So this is going to have a very, very, very significant effect on the balance sheets. So what we want to do is make the announcement when we get the facts out there for you all. You'll be able to read about it. You'll be notified exactly where everything is located. We have our partners' offices. Dolby Oil and Gas is in Dallas, Texas. Gary will be preparing for us on a regular basis announcements of what our findings are. Very similar to what we mentioned in Global MD Now, where we keep a track record of what's happening with our members. We can also advise people on what's happening with our drilling programs, etc. I think, without wanting to blow this up too big, I want to step back just for a few minutes and just talk about, so people can really understand the significance of what we're doing here in terms of particularly two of the main companies, which are Global MD Now and obviously I mentioned about the GMD Resources, the oil. The most important thing about Global MD Now is that, as I mentioned, it's going international. It's going throughout the United States. It will have many millions of members signed on, actively involved in this thing. Now, what you've got to remember is we have a cross-pollination here. We have the ability to access all members. Roxana is bringing into her media company many people that we can provide, information to about the products that we're going to provide. This is a great marriage. I mean, I realize, look, it's very, very easy to focus on the past and the negativity and all these things that happened, and I'm sure that you understand that more than anybody. But the fact of the matter is that you can't turn back the clock. There's nothing we can do about those. Those things are behind us. What we're focusing on right now is the future. And the fact of the matter is that we're dealing in real companies with real assets, companies that have a tremendous amount of money and time spent on them. I want to stress, again, this is not startup. Every one of these companies are vertical. They are going ahead right now. And the effect of that is going to be the income that is derived from those companies. And that's what you're going to see, what Roxana said earlier.
John, one of the things I want to add is also the amount of resources and management. I mean, your offices in Dallas and the amount of employees and staff and senior management, not to mention, the new increased operating management in our company, or the management and the 3-4 generation in the oil business is Gary. All of this has been united into the companies that MPIX owns 50% of. We have all come together, and our entire resources of assets and resources and manpower and credentials. And that's the thing that we have not put out there publicly as strongly as that we will be doing, because we are literally taking baby steps. We cannot afford to not have this foundation set correctly after, the problems and the pain that we had suffered last fall. So really, I think it's important that our shareholders knows that, we are taking our time a little bit more now to be more deliberate in what we're saying, how we're saying it, the transparency of it all. We had a really bad learning experience last fall. So
now with that, though, Rox,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Chris.
With that, though, there's a couple loose ends. I don't want to forget the past, because you know how I feel about it. There's a couple loose ends. If all these revenue streams are getting ready to come in, and we're talking a few weeks on some of the stuff that you're talking about, what about what does that mean to the buyback? What does that mean to the share reductions?
Well, we will continue that, because the increased capital resources that we right now are pulling together from all of our companies will allow us to continue all those activities. They have not stopped, and they will be wrenched up even further here within the next week or several weeks, as all the capital resources is literally being put into our bank accounts. No different than the transparency and the filings and all of the compliance matters. Right now, our offices are working around the clock to work with FINRA, with our Securities Council, auditors, because we want those matters completed for the fact that when these revenues start coming into our companies, we don't want to have these unloose, tied up ends not handled. So we are working on those matters right now, because we know the importance of having those matters completed.
Understand. Mr. Benson, I want to touch on press releases and news. How do you guys plan on talking to shareholders? You're not going to tell us what you're going to do, are you?
Yeah, it's a great question. No. First of all, not at all. First of all, let me explain what we believe using our communications division, which we have in-house. One of the best ways to see how we communicate is again, to go onto our websites. The first thing I'd encourage everybody to do who is involved in looking at MindPIX is to have a look at platinumaccesssociety.com. That's platinumaccesssociety.com. On everyone inside that, you'll see all the companies. Each company has its own individual web page. Each of those websites will give you a tremendous amount of information as to what those companies are doing, and they're active. Now, the oil company that we're involved in is about to launch a website which will give you complete, up-to-date information on the drilling and so forth. That'll be out very shortly. The most important ones that are already established, because the companies, I said, were completely finished and ready to go, and we are only talking maybe a very, very few short weeks. We're not even talking a month away. What's going to happen is everybody will be able to go on those sites and see them. What we intend to do is to run our own news bulletins on our site, so you'll be able to go on that site, read about what's happening in each of the companies. Roxana's group will be providing through Emacs Media up-to-date information about things that they're active in, and you'll be able to go on and read all about it. You don't have to necessarily wait for, MindPIX to release a press release. We think that constant information, open, transparent, real-time information is critical. And the way you do that is you make sure that people can access that information at any time and read all about it. Because we really believe that what we set up with Platinum Access is to make it, and it will be, one of the leading investment companies in the world. It really has the capacity to do that. And as that grows and as we keep that information flowing, we just want to make sure that we maintain a very good working relationship, a great joint venture relationship with MindPIX, and you'll be able to, as I said, read all about it. We'll have our regular news items coming up all the time. There's nothing is better than getting information out to shareholders that's accurate, real, and is happening, and they can see it happening. It's the most important thing out there. And we realize that. We've got a fabulous media division and PR division in our company that can do all that. So we'll make sure that goes out on a regular basis.
So let me kind of recap one piece here. So basically what you guys have done is you've built a team in essence. So I guess it's safe to assume that basically, Rox, you're not going to be doing a lot of stuff by yourself.
Thank God for that.
Well, okay, can I get personal?
Go ahead, John.
I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, we would very much like an opportunity to bring the two principal heads of the companies, which are involved in the two biggest areas, obviously, which is global, Duncan MacDonald and Gary Dolbury on the oil, because that would be a great show, because it would the stuff that the knowledge these guys have and what they can explain to the listeners will excite them beyond. But what I want to say, one thing I want to learn, that I did learn about Duncan MacDonald, was when we formed the companies and I joined the organisation to do that. I've never seen a greater delegator do it so well, so professionally as he does. He has a superb team of executives. I mean, Roxana's had an opportunity to know the history and the people that are in our organisation, and they're about the best of the best. You don't build a company globally and internationally as a leader in the health field and do what he's doing unless you do have that. But the one thing I learned from him is how you delegate. And I love Roxana, and I think she's great, but I wanted to learn more how to delegate back to us, because we really believe that we can bring to MindPIX's operation a multi-million-dollar resource, which we have, that can be of tremendous help, as a team. This is not a competition. We're a team.
Yeah.
And we play it as a team. And you'll see the effect of that. And that even gets back to communication. One of the things that we've been building, we have our own studios. In fact, we have blue screen or whatever they call green screen. But we have the facilities to be able to create up-to-date, immediate, constant video access news items that can be accessed, through our company, which will talk about online, what's happened that week, what we've developed, and deliver it with professionals that we have on staff to do all that. So it really is about communication. We want to be part of this communication circle. We have tremendous resources to deliver internet and information to every medium available. So, we're going to build that. And let me tell you, Roxana's been fantastic about it. I mean, she's offered her resources, her people that have been great, that work with our people, put a lot of good people together to develop this stuff. And you're going to see a big difference. You're going to see a big difference in the next
I think
weeks.
it's important that our shareholders know, Chris, that I think every good CEO realizes when they need to bring in extra support and resources, and let those individuals come in and do what they do best. And this merger partnership with John Benson and Mr. McDonald's group really allows MindPIX to go to that next level that it really was demanding to do.
Let's kind of talk about that for a second. I mean, the OTC is the OTC. You guys know that. I mean, pin companies and those type of things. Not many get out. I mean, the money you're talking about is a little off the charts, and I'm excited to hear it, as I'm sure many are. We want to see it. We want to see when the revenues are going to be coming. But I mean, what do you plan to uplist? I mean, what's the plans there?
Absolutely. We wouldn't be doing this unless that was the absolute plan. We're not interested in being a pink sheet. I mean, obviously, and we know that with the revenues and the assets that we have, we can uplift immediately. And we intend. Roxana can answer that, but yes, that is an absolute.
Wow. Okay. You keep mentioning GMD. Is that GMND?
No, it's not. Now let's first of all, let's clear up all these misunderstandings about GMD Resources. GMD was basically a combination of our global company, MindPIX, and Dolbury Oil and Gas, who brought the deals together, right? So they were the three initials of our three companies. Has absolutely nothing to do with GMD. There is no connection to it whatsoever. This is our company. We brought it into the group. And that's one of the pieces of misinformation that you read out there. That's when people assume things that are not correct. So we formed that company to hold our leases for our oil exploration and so forth, and then we contracted with Dalbury Oil and Gas to do all the work and do all the things that we needed to make it happen. So, no, I want to kill that one, Roxana, because we constantly get. I didn't even know who GMD was when we were starting to get the questions over our, coming into us. But anyway, no, it's not. It's a completely standalone company, and it has no connection whatsoever.
Now, with all the revenues and the different streams that you're talking about, when do you anticipate getting revenues?
Well, firstly, I can't discuss them at this moment because they're in the final stages of being completed. But there are certain transactions that are going on right now. There's one in the commodities field that we're working on immediately, and the immediate income from our two companies, which is MD Now and iPrint, is right now. When I'm saying right now, I'm talking about yesterday. I mean, we're ready to make the big announcement. We're launching everywhere with all the different media outlets, and you'll be seeing everything from television commercials to, you'll be going on the internet. You'll be hearing all about a global MD Now. The iPrint company is already up and operating. That's already processing its first contracts. It'll be bringing a lot more under that umbrella of iPrint. So yeah, this is not a drawn out process. We're ready to start producing cash flows and substantial cash flows, and you'll see those start hitting. And I'm looking forward to the first announcement that we can make to everybody when we talk about our first success and the kind of revenues that we brought in. That's going to be very, very soon. So
when you say very soon, I mean 2 months, 5 months?
Oh God, no! No! It's February. How about this month? Right, that's what we're talking about.
Really?
We're not talking about next month. No, we're not talking about next month. We're talking about
I believe we'll be able to show them through our end of quarter filings what those numbers actually are, both revenues and profitability to the companies, for sure.
Absolutely. That's our task. Get it up as high as we can, as early as we can, because that's going to have a major effect on those filings coming into the first quarter.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right. This is very difficult to get my wrapped around here. Okay, you're a company that wants to uplist. All these things that you've been trying to do for all these years is coming to this place, right?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Your revenue streams are going to be generated from all over the place, and you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars based off of revenues, oil, and all these other type of things that you're talking about. I mean, right. What do you say to a shareholder or a potential investor that in the short term? I mean, because in the OTC,
don't sell. Don't sell.
I mean,
buy more. Sorry.
I mean, it's what I mean though. In the OTC, there's no such thing as an investor. I mean, I guess somebody might say they are, but you're not. So when you're sitting there, you're talking to this, you're presenting something to the audience right now that is something they've never heard of. Number one, and you're kind of changing the concept of being a trader to an investor. I mean, help me with this.
Because I think, in all due respect, we've been laying out our business agenda and objectives as companies, public and private, for some time. I don't think it should be a surprise to anyone that our execution is being followed up now to see revenues. The quiet periods that we go in here at our company is because we're doing compliance, we're doing filings, we're doing, corporate negotiations, we're closing contracts. What I meant when I just said is, I get calls into our office quite often, and the question is, or statement is, well, this person wants to go sell, or from a perspective of being the chairman of this company, I have to say to everyone, do your due diligence. Do you want to sell, or do you want to wait? I have to be very cautious what I say, but I happen to know what's going on behind the scenes. I'd hate for anyone to sell, and 3 weeks from now we show this kind of revenues, and they go, why didn't someone tell me? I can't tell them to stay, okay?
Oh,
so
but Rox, I thought the same thing. Make no mistake about it.
I know.
I thought about the exact same thing because, I'm
see
with
it.
you.
I hear it, So I'm frustrated because I know what's going on. I know how diligent we've been. I know how substantial it all is, and I know how much time it's taken for us to get to where we're at right now. So I appreciate this opportunity to share tonight with John and with all of our shareholders and the STT group, what we've been busy doing. And then, every investor or shareholder needs to make their own conscious decision. Do they stay as an investor or shareholder? Do they buy more? Do they sell? That's the decision making.
The whole point is we want shareholders to stay. We don't want them to buy.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the whole point. Listen, I want to say one, Chris. I want to say one thing to you. I want to jump back to our baby for a second because I really want to make sure that you and your listeners understand something. I want to talk about Global MD now. I want you to give me a couple of minutes on it. I want to understand the enormity of what we're doing here, okay? When we created this product and developed this product to be a 24/7, 365-day access to our doctors, our physicians, who are as good as any physicians and people that you deal with and you visit and your listeners visit. We wanted to be able to make sure those physicians were on call within a 10-minute, one-on-one basis. And that's what we created through our call centers, through our thing. I want you to think about this. If you're traveling or you're overseas or you're out of state and you get sick and you got the flu, you need something, you need advice, you need medication, think about the way that you can just pick that up. How many times, have you found yourself in a situation that you can't reach your own doctor at home, you can't find him, you run out of a prescription? I had a recent event in New York where I ran out of blood pressure medication and I couldn't reach my doctor to get a prescription sent to the pharmacy that I was trying to get it to. And it was a real problem, and finally I got it done, but it was a day late. Now, what we're going to be able to do is deliver on-hand, immediate medical help and advice across the entire country and around the world to our members. That is a massive deal. We're not talking about a WebMD or some reference library or things like that. We're talking about direct physician assistance, guidance, help with local clinics, hospitals, nurses, whatever is needed, we can do it. And it's affordable. And now, how many people in this country alone don't even have any medical insurance? Go back to, look at what's going on, right? I mean, it's horrific. And, I've come from a country where there's national health. I mean, it was never a problem. But there are millions and millions of people every day without any health care. They're terrified to even go to a doctor. Most of them are, who can't afford to buy the most basic healthcare programs, are terrified to even, go to a doctor because of what it's going to cost them. And yet our physicians are there. They can help, from everywhere, from video to telephone. We're talking about something that people will take, particularly if you're in high deductible schemes and you're in things where, you just don't want that full expense, and you can do this under our program, because most things that most people go to doctors for, are fairly minor ailments. We're not talking about emergency critical things, but we're talking about the general things that happen. And you'll see that will grow so fast and have such support that for every single member that we're bringing in, that's a continuous cash flow every month, month in, month out, right, as those subscriptions are made. And
John, I'd like to add something.
Very low-cost bill.
John, I'd like to add something. There's a real crisis. There's a real crisis here in the U.S. in that individuals that don't have health care of any nature are walking into ER for simple matters that Global MD now can give them access to doctors to review, evaluate, and even provide a script at a local pharmacist for. We're having hospitals in the U.S. have tremendous financial burdens because those individuals are not going to pay the bill either. But when you have a affordable product like this, for only so much a month, and they have all this access to a physician, and they have a confident night going to sleep knowing they have some sort of medical access for care or for assessment, and to get a simple script, this is huge. And this is a piece that is so exciting to me, because when we nationally promote, as it's getting ready to roll out, to the U.S. consumers, not only the global consumers, the amount of revenue potential just for this one product is so off the charts. So when we can help consumers with their health care, and they're ecstatic about that, and then we can cross-market the other stuff that makes them happy, which is family entertainment and music, that's the hugeness of all this.
Wow. I want to talk a couple things. All right, we talked about the uplist. Now, to do that and those things that where you're the channels that you plan on. Now, you don't plan on doing a reverse split, do you?
Never, absolutely not.
Never doing a reverse split?
Never.
That's pretty blatant statement. Okay.
Why would we do a reverse split? Anyhow.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, now I kind of want to go back to the EMXC shareholders, okay? And the reason why is there's always been some confusion of what the EMXC shareholders own in MPIX or their interest or whatever that is. I mean, we're talking about oil and huge revenues and all that. How does this benefit an EMXC shareholder?
Well, there's the dividend that's going out to the shareholders that's effective up to the record date of June 15th in MPIX is one position. And that means the shareholders up to that point is entitled to the dividends coming over from the MPIX. But because so many investors came into EMAX after that date, the MPIX board felt very strongly that they needed to grant some value in the MPIX or the Platinum partnership to the EMAX shareholders. So what we did is we agreed as a board that out of the 50% stock interest that MPIX holds in Platinum, that 7% of that we would shave out and give to EMAX Worldwide to hold on their balance sheets. We have no intentions right now to issue that as a stock dividend, but to hold it in reserves for the cash revenues that we will see from that partnership, from our stock interest, and pass through those revenues to our shareholders in a cash dividend is our intention at this time, Chris.
I'm not exactly sure how that whole thing works, but does that also fuel your buyback of EMXC?
No, what fuels our buyback from EMXC is our own capital reserves that we will continue to buy back shares and retire it to Treasury. And what that will do is continue to decrease the amount of shares that's outstanding of common in the marketplace.
Okay, understand. All right, MPIX is straight in at 3 cents. Is that? I mean,
it's at 5 cents right now.
Chris, it's absolutely totally irrelevant. It really is, because MPIX is trading at I think it's about 4 something cents at the moment. Honestly, I don't want to be kidding about this, but who cares? I mean, it's got absolutely nothing to do at all with the reality of what MPIX has and what it's going to have. It really doesn't. So it doesn't make any difference. I mean, if people want to play around with stock up and down, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever where MPIX is going.
Yeah.
And if we thought it was a 3 or 4 cent company, trust me, we wouldn't be putting multi-million-dollar businesses into our joint venture.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't even think about it.
All right. I mean, when you're talking about a lot of the things that you're talking about, and you transition from the OTC company, a lot of things that happen in the OTC is non-reporting, not audited financials and those type of things. And to uplist and to do the things that you're talking about doing, I would assume that you're going to be doing audited financials, full blown everything here soon.
Now, is that we're doing that now. We're trying to get everything completed within the next 30 days or sooner. That's the full registration filing, which is the S1 for MPIX, and the audits. And I would hope to have them completed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's in preparation.
So MPIX. Is it a jump, or is it are you going to do OTCQX? I mean, what are you thinking here?
Well, first thing we'll do is obviously full reporting at OTC markets all the way up. But upon getting through the SEC filings of our S1 and all the question-answer process, which will probably take about 60 days, maybe 90, depending upon their timing. In that time period, we as a board, all of us, will make a calculated decision. What exchange do we want to uplist to? Do we want to go to NASDAQ National Market Listing? Do we want to go to Amex or New York Stock Exchange? So right now we've not made the decision. We're waiting for our counselors to give us advice in those areas. But it will be one of those 3 boards for sure.
Okay. All right. Let me go with my last question, Mr. Benson. If you had a few minutes in an elevator with a potential shareholder or a potential investor, what would you say to them about MPIX?
I'd like to say about the whole group, because MindPix is more than just MindPix. I wanted to say one thing. I think that we are the nucleus of an alternative economic movement, in our opinion, both in healthcare and all these other new dimensions. People haven't seen the depth of MindPix products itself that it has access to, that we're helping develop. I mean, there's some incredible things coming on that nobody even knows about yet. I want to say this about MindPix. MindPix is an excellent vehicle. It's a great vehicle for us to travel with and travel on. And I think that when you look at our companies and you see what we're bringing to the table, these are not old ideas or being regurgitated or a better way to make a better mousetrap and things like that. This is far beyond any of that. As I said, this truly is a nucleus for an alternative economic development of what we're doing. And I think in the current climate, especially with what shareholders are looking for to invest in, they don't want to invest in other bubbles that might burst. They don't want to go, a lot of them are being very careful of that. They want to see sound principles. They want to see businesses that are created to bring revenues in longevity, not flash in the pans, that make a bit of money out of a quick buck or something that happens for a quick dollar. I said earlier that we want shareholders to stay. This is about people coming in to help build the company and be part of what we're doing in the long term. And there will always be day traders. There will always be people looking to make a quick buck out of something, but they're going to be the losers at the end of the day. This is a company you need to buy the stock in, and you need to sit with us and watch it grow and watch your investment grow and be part of what we're developing. We're very, very proud of what we've done. We've spent a tremendous amount of money and time building these companies up, and we're very happy with our relationship with MindPix. We believe that if we can go down the path that we're going right now, you will see amazing results that we've been able to generate. It's hard when you're trying to discuss where we really believe we're going. It's pretty hard to try and control excitement, because we know we're part of it every single day. We're building a business now, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows from this point onwards that we're going to be the most transparent company out there. We're going to make sure that people have access to all the information they need when they need it. We want people to feel they're part of the growth of this company, that they're going to understand where we're going with it. As I said before, we're in the most exciting areas. We're terribly excited about our oil find and our side of that. I'm trying to temper myself on that, but when you have the opportunity to speak to Gary and Duncan McDonald, and you hear about some of these areas that we've developed in length, and we'd really love a chance to come back and go into more depth about our companies, and we could afford ourselves tonight. But when you see all that, I think you're going to be thrilled to pieces, and so are your shareholders.
Chris, I'd like to add this, that I'm ever so grateful that Duncan McDonald and John Benson has given us and our shareholders this opportunity to be involved with their companies and to share in the success of the companies. I mean, collectively, we all of us, MindPix and the Churchill Lloyd Group companies, bring a lot to this partnership. But the fact is that we all really, truthfully, and from our heart, really are looking forward to the success jointly for all of our shareholders and all of our partners and investors. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity for all of us.
No, this is pretty exciting stuff that I'm hearing. I mean, your shareholder base is like a cult. I mean, it's pretty amazing how many people have stuck by and
they're around the world, as you know.
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
Incredible.
And listen to some of the things that the two of you are talking about, and the transparency and just the sheer revenue dollars that you guys are saying is it's a little mind blowing. You know what I mean? It's a tough one to swallow until you start seeing it, and that's where I'm at, and
we're anxious to show it, Chris. And I resound what John says. I look forward to the opportunity that that Duncan and Gary can have the opportunity to speak to our shareholders through STT in the future. Because at that point, we'll be further down the road. More things will be seen in financials and such that we'll be able to present. And so I'm very excited for those opportunities for everyone as well.
Well, we'd love to have them. Well, I've asked the two of you many, many questions. Is there anything I failed to ask you that you would like to address?
I
Chris,
think we covered a lot.
Chris, I just want to say one last thing, if I could, please.
Sure.
There's many years ago, I read a recipe in an Australian cookbook, and it was a recipe for kangaroo tail soup. Now, the first paragraph in that recipe for kangaroo tail soup, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Can hear you.
Yeah. The first recipe for that kangaroo tail soup, in fact, the first paragraph, in the recipe, it actually said, first catch one kangaroo. That's how it opened. And I've never forgotten that, because if you don't catch the kangaroo, trust me, you're not going to be able to make the soup. We caught the kangaroo. We really believe that we have the relationship with MPIX that is going to enable us as a private company to eventually have the opportunity, and I really believe this is going to happen in the future, that I can see Platinum Access becoming a public company in its own right. I think there's no doubt about that. I think that'll happen down the road, and that's going to have a significant effect on MPIX when that happens. We're building a tremendous amount of assets and cash flow under this new investment company. This is the beginning. We're about to make the soup. And I think when everybody gets an opportunity to kind of live this with us, as they will every day, and all the negative stuff you read in the blogs and all the stuff, we can take all that. That means nothing. It's irrelevant. What's going to happen is not what's in the past, it's what's in the future. We have a phenomenal group of people around us, and the proof will be in the pudding. You'll see exactly what's going to happen. It's going to happen immediately. We're making our first announcements tomorrow. There'll be followed-up press announcements coming out in the next few days regarding the oil, which I'm sure is going to have a significant effect on everybody when they read it. And we just want to get on with the job now. This has been a difficult task to put all this together. We worked through Christmas. We worked through the New Year. We haven't had a break now. And we've now finished and developed everything, and we're vertical. We're ready to go. It's very hard when you're being asked questions about money and revenues and things like that to kind of temper yourself and keep the excitement levels down. And I'm not, I don't want to go overboard. But the reality is that we are sitting on a multi-million-dollar business, and it's an international, global business. It'll touch all corners of the world. Our companies will be known everywhere, because this is what we're doing within our group. So we just welcome everybody to come along for the ride with us. This is going to be a very exciting time for everybody over the next 12 months and beyond. And as I said, we'll prove it to you. We'll prove it to everybody, and you'll start seeing those results very soon. Okay, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys tonight about it. So thank you.
Excellent. We're extremely happy that you did. Believe me, you guys have actually cleared up a lot of different things going on, and a lot of emotions in a lot of people's heads, and those type of things. And the future sounds very, very bright, and I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to have on your other two company reps. So with that, thank you for being on the show, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Well, everyone, that was MPIX, stock ticker MPIX, with Mr. John Benson and Miss Roxana Weber. Wow. Who do I have?
Chris, before we go any further discussing the interview, I'm reading off a post from iHub, okay? And I always say it, I don't know if I could stress it enough. But I'm just going to read the post, because this is why we do CEO interviews, okay? And I'm not going to read the whole post. I'm not going to say who posted. I'm just going to read 2 lines of it, okay? And it says, after listening to this interview, clearly I don't own enough shares. These people, meaning Rox and John, were absolutely brimming with confidence and excitement, and are particularly begging, or are practically begging shareholders not to sell and to wait for them to reveal what they have going on behind the scenes in the very near term, in February, as they've emphasized. Okay?
Wow.
Again, and I always say it, you can never, you could PR all you want, but getting on the radio and talking to the investors or doing a shareholder conference call or however you do it, there's just no better way.
I would agree. That's a amazing amount of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely amazing. That was a long interview, though.
Oh, yeah. You went 67 minutes.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have started off the way I did on that, but I had to. It was the right way to, you know what I mean?
I think the rest of the hosts must have fell off their chair or something. Because it's just me and you for some reason.
No, I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Wrap your head or your hands? Or...
I mean, yeah, whatever.
Well, Cop couldn't make up his mind whether it was going to be his head or his hand. What am I going to wrap around this?
How about both? I don't know.
It was just a lot of information, and just like tying it all together, it's just, you got to think about it for a little while to realize what they got going on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
One of the things as far as my take on it was, I've done a lot of information seeking on both MindPIX and EMAX, and at first last year there was a lot of obstacles, but with a 32-page business summary plan, I really kind of took a comb through that and just really looked at the details, and a lot of the things that are coming to fruition right now are very exciting, and I think that it's a lot of follow-through on things that ROX especially wanted to happen last year. So, that's pretty exciting for a lot of us shareholders that have been in for a while.
A long time. Very, very long time. I mean, it's the pinnacle is finally here, hopefully, huh? That's what it sounds like to me.
Sounds like it.
I've heard it before. Let's see it now.
I find it hard to believe that you've locked in now two CEOs to commit to a deadline on a press release.
Yeah, I'm getting those words right on that is what's happening. That's what's happening. There's some very, very good stuff going on.
Both coming up here in February, so that's exciting stuff. We're going to look forward to that. Okay, anybody got anything to add to the interview?
Some of the things that I think were pretty interesting was the whole global MD part of it, and that particular, the Global Corporate Alliance is pretty huge. If you go to the website and you go to globalcorporatealliance.com, you could see a lot of these companies listed under the GCA companies. And I think that's going to be one piece that I would definitely be interested to get a follow-up on.
Agreed.
So it should be.
In addition to that, I thought it was interesting how they had plans to eventually have, their corporate sites give updates. So once if they do follow through with that, then it'll be interesting to see, some of those updates through their various sites.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, Hon.
Are they going to combine all this thing under this Platinum Access Society? Is that going to become like one company now, or? I mean, there's only two of these that are public right now, right? Which is the EMAX and the MindPIX.
Correct. The private companies underneath of some piece of that.
Right.
There's still more. I got to listen to it again. I mean, I understood a lot of it. But the bottom line is it's a conglomerate that's platinum that is 50% owned by MindPIX. So from shareholder point of view, that's what you're worried about. And then the growth piece,
And what part does EMAX play in this?
Well, EMAX owns a percentage of MindPIX as well as a dividend.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Well, awesome job again, Cop, as always.
Yeah, excellent.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Kills it again.
Unreal. Okay. If you missed any portion of tonight's interview, which was approximately 67 minutes or so, we should have it posted on Investors Hub approximately 10:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in video format. You can find it under videos in market commentary. Also, we'll post it on the MindPix boards and the MXC and the Stock Traders Talk radio board. Another great night here at STT Radio. I promised everybody that's looking forward to Thursday's interview that I would give you hints to who's coming on the radio show. Last night's hint number one was this person was on a major network sitcom in the late 80s, early 90s. Hint number two, she played a supporting role in the comedy. So should I give more, or is that enough?
Oh, that's pretty good. That's really good hints. Leave them marinating.
You think so? Because tomorrow night I'm gonna give the one that should give it away. But for now, I'll leave it at major hit on a major network. I'll even give you the network. I'll narrow it down for you. NBC. God, I hope that's right. I think it is. I'm fairly sure that's correct. If I remember correctly.
I still don't know what the company is without me.
Who can remember back that far?
You got a 1 out of 3 chance there.
I know. I'm 99% sure it was NBC. Okay. From all of us here at STT Radio, to all of you out there listening, we wish you the best in all your plays for tomorrow. We'll be back on the air tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, we have another CEO interview coming up. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're always on weekdays, Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Either we do a CEO interview or we do a stock spotlight. One of those two things happens on the radio show every single night. Then we have some fun afterwards, usually. Depends on the night. Guys, say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Don't forget gals.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, John Boy.
Oh, well.
We'll see you tomorrow night. STT Radio, we're out. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio. All views and topics talked about on Stock Traders Talk Radio is solely for entertainment purposes. We are not professional financial advisors and always recommend you seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. Never invest in any stock featured on our show unless you can afford to lose your entire investment. The information contained on our show is based on sources which we believe to be reliable, but is not guaranteed by us as being accurate, and might not be a complete statement or summary of the available data. Stock Traders Talk Radio advises that the investments in companies profiled are commonly considered to be high risk, and use of the information provided is at the investor's sole risk. Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio.